Hi everyone, welcome again to Bake Your Way Kitchen. Today we're going to make one of my absolute favorites, and it's the holidays, so it's an excellent time to make peanut butter cups. It's unbelievably easy, and every single time I've made these, people ask me, how did you do this? How is this even possible? People are stunned when you make a recipe like this, even though it is so easy to make. And I'm not just saying that, I'm literally going to show you how easy it is. Because it's unbelievably easy, and I just can't say it enough. To make peanut butter cups, you just need a few ingredients, all of course available on bakeyourway.com. Right now you see most of them. This is for the peanut butter filling. I've got my chocolate melting on it with a double boiler, which I'll talk about a bit later on. But for now we just need to melt our butter, peanut butter, and salt. So I'm just going to take my 120 grams, which is half a cup, of peanut butter. You could use an all-natural kind, or you could use the one with fillers and stabilizers, whatever you prefer. I'm using a natural peanut butter this time. I'm also going to be adding a couple tablespoons of unsalted butter, although you could use salted. If you like a salty peanut butter filling and your peanut butter doesn't really have a lot of salt, feel free. I'm going to add a few pinches of salt. So now what we're going to do is put this in the microwave until it gets nice and loose so that we can incorporate it easily before adding in the confectioner sugar. So I'll be right back in about 30 to 40 seconds. So I've now taken the peanut butter and the salt out of the microwave, and you can see it's now fully incorporated. The butter doesn't need to melt fully, it just needs to incorporate in the peanut butter. So we've got this. So all we need to add to our peanut butter filling is some confectioner sugar. And if your confectioner sugar is very lumpy, you can simply use a sifter or a sieve to get that out. And all we're doing right now is mixing in our peanut butter with our powdered sugar. And oh my goodness, this is where, and I've made a lot of holiday candies before that use peanut butter and powdered sugar. I find as soon as you add powdered sugar to peanut butter, especially peanut butter that was just in the microwave, the smell is just incredible. And it really does make me think of Christmas, like truly. So we've got our peanut butter filling here. And this is pretty much all we need to do, really. We are done our peanut butter filling. It's going to be perfect for our peanut butter cups. Now, over here, I've got some melted chocolate. You can use whatever chocolate you want. I even know some people that like to use white chocolate with it, but a lot of people find that way too rich, too sweet, too rich. I'm kind of using a little bit of a rich option. I am using milk chocolate. I highly recommend dark or bittersweet chocolate. I find that really complements the peanut butter well, but milk chocolate also works great. So whatever chocolate you want to use a good quality chocolate, because I'm telling you, it makes the world of difference. With this chocolate, it's about, the funny thing about whenever I make this recipe, depending on the thickness, you'll need a certain amount. So you're probably going to need anywhere between 3/4 to probably a pound, or even a little bit more. So I always start with about 12 ounces, probably about in the 340, 350 gram range. And I've added 1 tablespoon of shortening. And the reason why you use shortening over butter in this instance is because when you're serving this to people with butter, the chocolate has more of a tendency to melt in your hand while you're eating it, whereas shortening has a better, it's more stable for when you're serving it. Now, what I've got here is some paper liners. I'm using Christmas paper liners because it's Christmas. And I highly recommend you don't have to use muffin liners. The reason why I recommend it is because it's how you'll get those rickety edges at the end for the end result. So I highly do recommend it. So believe it or not, we have everything we need to make peanut butter cups. It's literally just took us a few minutes, and now we're ready to get started. So depending on how thick you want it, depends it's a really personal preference. Some people like a thick chocolate layer and then some peanut butter, and then some people, it's just a mix of views. So what I usually do about 1.5 teaspoons, 1 to 2 teaspoons depending, for the bottom layer, and I'll show you an example. So basically what I like to do is I like to take a small spoon, and you simply take this and you kind of put it in the bottom here. Now I'm doing larger peanut butter cups. You know, another great option, if you don't want peanut butter cups in this large, like a muffin tin, you could use like those mini cupcake tins and use mini cupcake liners or something as an option. That is, and then just have a bunch of mini peanut butter cups. It's really a personal preference thing. So I've added in a few small teaspoon, this less than teaspoon of the chocolate filling to put at the bottom. I'm going to continue doing that for the rest of this here. I would say that's probably about just over a teaspoon, and I'm going to do it for the rest of these. I've evenly distributed the bottom layer, and what you want to do is give this a few taps, so like this. And what this does, I just want to see some of that. And what this does is that it evenly distributes the chocolate to the whole bottom, and it also gets rid of any air bubbles that might exist. So now what you want to do is maybe using a cookie scoop, a small one. I might have a small one. So I've got one here. And you might want to use like a small, like this is 1.5 teaspoons usually. So I'm using a little bit less than 1.5 teaspoons. You could use a full teaspoon. And what you want to do, now that you've got that, is kind of, and I'm going to get a knife here, is you kind of want to carefully, you want to kind of get the right amount. And you kind of, before you place it down, you kind of want to get it in a bit of a flatter shape. Make sure your hands are kind of a little clean, and you just want to put it, basically you want to use the cookie scoop to get around the same uniform amount for each one, but you want to then put it in your hands, kind of press it down. You might want to butter your hands, it might help a bit. That way you get the peanut butter to be flat, so that way you don't have all the peanut butter right in the center of the cup. So you go like that. There you go. And you keep doing it for each one until you have them all done. So you just flatten it out on your hand. You might want a bit of butter or a cooking spray on your hands so that you can do this. And then you just want to put it down in the middle, because if you start to spread it with a knife, you can spread it a little bit, but I find that you eventually mix the layers and it just gets complicated. So peanut butter filling done here. You want to give that one more tap so that it sets, so you can see the peanut butter filling. It doesn't have to be perfect because it's going to be covered and it's going to be delicious. So now what you can do is using a spoon, which has completely fallen in my chocolate sauce. I'll get another one. I might just take one of these. And you simply want to put about 1 teaspoon, or until you've completely covered the top of your peanut butter cup. So you're looking, it depends, again, there's so many factors depending on how big it is. So just start with a certain amount. So I'm starting with some. I'll evenly distribute it and then give it a few shakes, and we'll see if there's any left to do. So I'll be here with you to do this. So I've done 3 so far. Get the other ones done. And again, depending on the amount of thickness of chocolate you want, will depend on how much chocolate that you'll need. I don't like to waste chocolate, and I find chocolate, as soon as you melt it, it's hard to use it in future recipes, I find. So I always go on the conservative side, and if I need more chocolate, I simply melt it. It's just like economically, especially when you're using a good quality chocolate, you don't want to be wasting anything. So you want to make sure that you just start with what you need, and then if you need more, you can always make it. It doesn't take long to melt chocolate. So just keep going. And don't worry about anything looking perfect here, because these are homemade, and trust me, the people you serve these to will not care about those details. They'll be just amazed that you even did this. Because really, every time I've made these and brought them in either to work or even to friends, like, they're just shocked. They really are amazed that you can actually do this at home. They don't realize how easy it is. And literally, we are pretty much done. All these need to do is set in the fridge. So now, let's do a shake and see if any of them still need a bit more covering. So you can take a look and see, you still see some specks of peanut butter. That means that those need a bit of more chocolate. It looks like they all need just a little bit more. Alright, so we're pretty much done. There's a few little specks, but you know what? They're really not that bad. They're very hard to see, and they're probably more visible to you. I mean, you could spend hours to make sure that you don't see any little specks, but these are good just as they are. So these can go in the fridge for about 30 minutes till they have fully set, and then they are ready to serve. It's as easy as that. I've still got a few more that I can make. Obviously, depending on the size of the peanut butter cups will depend on the amount you can make. For the size like this, you can probably make about 15. If you make them smaller, probably about 30 to 35, so it really depends on your needs. I'll show you what they look like once they're done.